Hold on tight for the next hour. You're entering into a place, a zone called the alternative to the alternative media. It's a place, a special place where even truth seekers fear to tread.
All right, people, let's move like we've got a purpose.
Affirmative.
Okay, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, people of all races, colors, and creeds, welcome back to the greatest show on earth. I mean the tip-top best. The best show on radio because you know what? Nobody's doing anything anymore. Greg Anthony here on the Investigative Journal. You're stuck at home for the 999th day, or maybe it's the 666th day. Greg Anthony here. I'm going to tell you why this show is better. It's better because, how would you like to be the guy that invented concrete? Yeah, the most used item in the world. We've built a plane or a planet of concrete. Started in the Romans' days, but I don't know who built it. How'd you like to be the guy? This show's better than being the guy who created the wheel. Yeah, how'd you like to create the wheel back then? These people got no credit. There were no patents. Then we got jerks like Anthony Dracula Fauci patenting every stupid item to kill you medically, and he's making a fortune, and he gets credit for this. I think there's a real upside-down situation going on in the world. Greg Anthony here, and this show is better than sitting on Sophia Loren's lap. Do you remember her, kids? Yes, I don't think it's better than that, because once I did that, yes. And it was just for fun. She was a good friend. Not really. I knew her from my days in Rome. Just in passing. But anyway, Greg Anthony here in this show is better than listening to film star Brad Pitt complain about wearing a mask and depriving all these women of his beautiful face. You know something that's better than getting the COVID virus hoof and mouth disease like I have? The uncontrollable desire to stick it right in the government's you-know-where for what they're doing to us. Yes. That's what it is, and I hope a lot of you other people get it. I'm not wishing any discomfort on anybody. No. It's COVID virus party Friday on Greg Anthony's show. Isn't it interesting that once this thing hit, everybody forgot about everything? Our people on the news media, they forgot that the world actually exists outside of the people running around saying 299 people died today, and this is happening. And if we don't do tracking, tracing, and all this kind of stuff, then we can't go to work. This is the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen since somebody once said the best thing in the world is sliced bread. Whoever says that, stop it. And you know what? I don't want to see any colored ribbons. That's one thing I hated. Every little crisis they create, there's a colored ribbon, right? No colored ribbons for COVID. If you want to wear anything, wear a 666 ribbon. And this show's better than listening to this stupid representative of our House. He introduced a bill, House Resolution 6666. Oh, God. Read it and weep. I mean, these guys aren't hiding anything. Years ago, people asked me, what's going on? And I said, well, look to the United Nations. I mean, the only seat empty, they leave it open, it's number 666. They're leaving that for Pontifex Maximus. And people would say, oh, you're a Catholic basher. This show is better than anybody calling me a Catholic basher when I was a Catholic. You know how many people called me that, and they didn't know the first thing about how Catholicism brainwashes you? First of all, they tell you it's Christianity. It isn't. So let's go on. My psychiatrist who told me, listen, I got some, this is so funny. You know how people put comments on YouTubes and all that? Face to face, call me, email me. They put a comment on, you're going crazy. I said, no, I've already been crazy. This is just being an outward sign of it. This has just pushed me over the deep edge. Like many of us. All we needed was a little push. We've been living in this Vatican Jesuit-led New World Order world for so long, and we've been looking at all of their shenanigans. This one tops the cake, takes the cake. Oh, don't get me started. People say this all the time. I heard it just the other day. Oh, that takes the cake. Matt Gaetz, Did you you know who Matt Gaetz is? Me, I'm informed. I know all of our stupid politicians up there. These little puppets that run around saying, I'm a MAGA person. Oh, no, I'm a Clinton globalist. No, why don't you just tell the truth and say you're a Satanist working for the Satanist government? Get it over with. Blow the whole place up, start over again. Go in your bunker, hide there for a year, come back out, we'll all be gone. How's that? Better solution than this? Slow. This is like Chinese torture. not to put the blame on the poor Chinese for this virus, which is concocted, whoever did it. But anyway, it's like a Chinese torture, slow death, pin by pin by pin. Yeah, that's what they're doing to you. But anyway, let me say this. If I cough or sneeze, run for the hills, because I've been heard that the COVID virus can be caught through the airwaves. Yes, it goes right through the airwave into the air, and then it infects the whole world. And especially if you talk against the government story, that's what you're going to get. That's the people that have it that have to shut up. And they're shutting up people all over the place. Now, what'll happen is what happened in 9/11, because this show is better than listening to all these 9/11 truth seekers still thinking they're ever going to get the truth. It's 20 years, folks. You've been defeated. Most people don't even know what 9/11 was anymore. I know, because it was my birthday. Yeah, 9/11's my birthday. So every 9/11 I celebrate my birthday, and I celebrate the fact that the Jesuits did it again. They always do it. They lie, they steal, they cheat till they get their way. And it's all for the glory of Rome. And by the way, this show is better than being the guy who invented concrete. Did you know the Romans did that? And they were the marvel of the world. And I'm going to ask you a question. I bet you don't know how much concrete was poured into the Hoover Dam. This is what I spend my time doing during these COVID days. I spend my time thinking of really crazy things. Like, remember in 1830, William Hickinson? He was the first man killed in a railroad train accident. This show is better than being him. How'd you like that? There was only one train, and he got hit by it. He was the first one, and they wrote that down. Right? Many people got hit by trains after that, but he should get the credit for it. Who was the first person that got killed by an airplane? Wasn't the Wright brothers. They only went up like 4 feet. I could have done that, I got to invent something before I leave. That's the only way people remember you. What can I invent? How about I patent a new device that prevents you from sneezing? Yeah, that'd be a good one. A sneeze-proof device. In these days, when if you sneeze, you're going to be arrested. That might be a seller. I could be remembered forever. A sneeze-proof device. And not a clothespin. I know you're thinking, just stick a clothespin. That's what we should do. Stick a clothespin on your nose. But anyway, so these stupid politicians, I was listening. It's better than being Matt Gaetz. He's a representative from Florida who always takes the contrarian view. They have to have these guys, a few of them in Congress, that hate the globalists, right? So they fight back and forth, but really they're on the same team. But he's saying, this is crazy, doing all this stuff to American people need to get back to work. These masks are nuts. So he was seen, and he photographed himself. He was photographed. He didn't do a selfie. There was a photograph of him with a huge gas mask on in Congress. Well, why don't they all put it on and just go somewhere? I mean, I don't want to listen to him anymore. So I turned on a few pictures. I said, give me some pictures of what's going on in that hall of horrors. The hall that this show is better, than having to sit in the U.S. House of Representatives and stare at those fascist symbols behind the speaker's podium and then say to yourself, do they really think I'm that stupid? They put up fascist symbols there, and this was put up a long time ago, so they know what they want. And then I'm supposed to believe this is a free country? What do they think, I'm dumb? Yeah, they think we're all dumb. And then they'll make up something like, it's a beautiful architecture the Romans had. We love it, And then you start going around and looking at all of their satanic, occult, Roman fascist symbols around Washington, how the darn thing was laid out, why they even put it there. I mean, it was all land from the Carroll family, the first Jesuit bishop, and then Georgetown, the first Jesuit university. So, this is all a scam from the beginning. And now people, I think, are getting it. Maybe. I've gotten a lot of calls from people who thought I was nuts. Now they say, oh, he's nuts. But maybe, there's a fine line between being crazy and genius, they say. Well, Trump says he's a genius, doesn't he? And you believe that. How many times do you hear him say that? Or he infers that, I'm a genius. Yeah, I could be a genius, too, if I got somebody writing for me every day, giving me a script and saying, he's a genius for creating MAGA. I heard Ronald Reagan the other day. They put an old speech on Trump. You're just copying him. Ronald Reagan said, let's make America great again. Yeah, that was his slogan. Nobody remembers. So when Trump says it, it's like, oh, he's a genius. Anybody could be a genius. If you're born to an elite family, all of our presidents, most of our presidents come from, European elite bloodlines. And this show, folks, is better than, growing up in this country and having to hear, everyone can be president. You have a chance. They don't put in the little proviso, the little slogan they should put in, and that is, you can be president if you come from Charlemagne's bloodline, or if you're related to King Alfred from the 8th century, or you're related to King Henry, or you're related to some king. They got to find somebody. I'm sure they go all over. They go to Austria, everywhere. But if you look at these bloodlines, it's amazing. And people just go, oh, well, that's a coincidence. Yeah, right. Try running for president, Then they put up these people like, who's that rich guy that just ran Bloomberg, They put him in to give you like $20 billion. How can he afford that and then still be a billionaire? That's how much money these creeps have, And we believe this. And we got people that don't even have, they go from month to month, living from month to month. And they're going, we can take care of these people. Folks, you're not in the club, okay? So the nice thing about this is that I was talking to my psychiatrist the other day, and I said, when will I be able to not remember what happened here so that I can speak about something else? Because before the COVID-19 pandemic started, there was a world out there with other news stories and things to talk about. I took a rather contrarian view of the world anyway, but I can't even talk about the things that you need to know to make an informed judgment that the Vatican Jesuit-led New World Order has taken over your country, and they did it prior to the revolution. I mean, this is stuff that they hide. You think they're going to write the truth? They've had a long history of changing things for their own good, and I think you ought to realize it, because when this story is written, years from now, it's going to be written that they saved the world from a huge catastrophe. Now they're saying if we don't track, trace, and test everybody, and they're doing this in 50 states, this is better than living in America under this right now. And they're hiring, like, for example, in California, they're hiring 3,000 people every day to spy on you. And they're going to say, if you don't comply, you're going to be part and parcel of killing your fellow Americans, because this is dangerous. Little did they know, this thing hasn't even been proven. But they have the microphone. So whatever they say goes. You're going to believe that Dr. Fauci? Listen what they're saying about him. Did you hear the bad things they're saying? They're calling him, I don't do this. I just call him a little jockey. He should thank me. And in fact, are all these things merited? He's a COVID-19 84 co-conspirator, black nobility Kabbalist, Big Pharma's inside man, medical mafia godfather, Manchurian candidate. He's not even from Manchuria. Globalist fearmonger. He's a globalist. Yeah, that's for sure. Democratic operative, agent of the deep state, CIA drug dealer, NIH corruptocrat, British intel asset, cultural Marxist, physician fraud. And I have, and you think I have been harsh on this man? You should see what they're saying. And, I've checked the internet out, and they're saying a lot of things. And really, the whole story is that people are catching on, and I bet you if you really talk to everybody, most people would say, yes, this is not merited. We should be able to go to work. I mean, do what we want. Go to the beach, see a ball game, you know. But then they go, oh, but they know better. We may die. You know, wouldn't you rather die than live like this? That's my point. You know, the other day I went to a cliff. Yeah. And you're saying, how do you find the cliff near Kansas? When you're supposedly in Kansas, people are thinking that listen to my show. Yes, I am. I'm in the you know where, the Coliseum that Mr. Grobnik has built for us so that we can take back this country. The only thing left is to break the Jesuit Vatican curse, and magically this country is going to just change overnight, just like they did it to us. Yeah, so he's out there doing that, and I'm going to get to that. The whole second hour I'm dedicating to breaking this curse. I've gotten a message from Molly the Pigeon, because that's the only way, folks, you can communicate without being bugged these days, is through pigeons. They're on our side. We have a deal with the pigeons for a long time. We don't hit them on the street, right? They stay out of our way. You ever notice when you drive in cities, these pigeons, really, no, they don't ever jump in front of your car. I don't see many splattered on the windshield. We have an agreement with them. They stay out of our way. If we allow them to poop on our statues, and that's the agreement. But taking it a step further, their representative said that they were upset because they weren't being used properly. In the old days, pigeons used to carry messages from kings to royalty all over the place, and they felt the purpose. So we've done that. You know, Slats thought about that. He's been doing that for 10 years. And I've got one of his prized pigeons. She actually talks, Molly the pigeon. And really, pigeons do talk if they're in Kansas. Has nothing to do with Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz. But pigeons do talk in Kansas, and I've been carrying on with Molly here for some time. But anyway, you're asking, where do you find a cliff in Kansas? Well, I didn't. I went up to I remember I told you the story of why it isn't wise. You know, our medical doctors seem to be a bit off their rockers, if I may put it mildly. Let me explain to them two things that I even know. I don't remember in the history of the world, unless you were a slave or tortured, you were quarantined for being healthy. Okay? I know you quarantine people if they, like them, and you put them in gulags, or you put the Japanese in internment camps, or you put the Polish and, people in Poland and all the Jews into Nazi concentration camps. You quarantine those people, or you quarantine people maybe with, I know we put people with leprosy on islands, but they're sick. I never saw anybody get quarantined for being healthy, but that's what our medical team is doing. So this show's better than, being quarantined for being well and living in America. I don't know why anybody wants to live here anymore. I think we just ought to leave. Just leave it to them. If they're not going to leave, and Slats cannot break this curse, he's out trying right now, then we ought to leave and find another world. And we'll be, you can be looking for that as well in your spare time. But this idea, that I found a cliff is quite interesting. No, I didn't. I told you a long time ago. Okay, so now we've come to the conclusion that they're a little bit off their rocker, because how can you quarantine people that are healthy? Well, Mike Pence thought of that idea. He said that, 9 out of 10 Americans think they have the COVID virus and they don't. So they're going to quarantine themselves. So they've created something where you don't have any symptoms. They can test you, which is bogus, and say, yes, you have the COVID virus, you can't go out. Okay? That's how they're doing it. And it's not a question of medical accuracy. It's a question of control, fascism. That's what it is. Okay? Now, the next step is they don't even have a test that's valid according to many doctors, that are silenced. So we have something We're quarantining, these medical doctors are quarantining people. They're testing, they're saying they got to get all these tests up before we can go to work, which they, why don't you just fake the test like you're going to do, and then just say everybody's got it. Why don't you do that? But then what happens is after that, they're telling you to do all these stupid things. Now, I remember in the beginning of this, they were of a consensus that masks weren't any good, right? And the reason is that doctors realized that the only reason they wore these surgical masks are because they want to keep the spit and the saliva from their face or out of the wound that they're working on in surgery. It doesn't keep away any kind of biological contaminants. If you wear that mask, you're still going to be susceptible to the real culprit, and that's chemtrails. Okay? And this show is better than living in a world where they've been spraying the skies. You see those white lines. They're not playing tic-tac-toe up there. You've seen them since the 90s. And people have told you these are very harmful chemicals, metals being sprayed at you and causing you to be ill. So even if you put a mask on, you can't protect yourself from that. You can't protect yourself from these so-called bacterias or viruses with a mask like that. And they told you that in the beginning, but then they changed it and said everybody's got to wear a mask. And I think they're playing like a joke on you, I think. They're playing a stupid Polish joke. See how many Polacks will put on a mask after we tell them it isn't good. Now you know what it feels like to be a Polak, right? Grow up. Think about it. How many times did I hear, you need two of your friends to screw a light bulb, Polak. So, one day my light went out. So I called two of my friends. And I said, do they have to be Polish friends? Can only three of us put that together? And I couldn't find two other Polish guys. So I asked two Italians, But they were too busy, going out with the mafia. They wouldn't come, right? And then I asked two Irish people, but they were drunk, Then I asked two Scottish people, and I said, no, I don't want to get near them. They're wearing skirts, So we've all, been accustomed to being generalized and being laughed at, The real problem is that the real people we should be laughing at never get attention. Now, we've laughed at politicians over the years. That's what they're paid to do. They're paid to take it. They realize that's part of the game, part of the TV show, part of the reality show. But the people that really need to be laughed at are these black-robed Jesuit Vatican people that run around. They're sometimes in disguise. Some of them are lawyers, doctors. Some of them work at NASA. They're all over. These are the people we need to laugh at because, you know what? They get away with murder. Literally. They don't get even laughed at because you can't laugh at the Pope. He's pious. Because he said he's God on earth. Well, there's two of them now on earth. Two Jesuses. I'm a little bit confused. This show is better than living in a world where they say there are two Jesuses living on earth. And it's better than people thinking that this is the way it's always been. First of all, Peter was never the first pope. And secondly, this whole idea of the Pope is infallible and Jesus on earth didn't happen until the mid-1800s or a little bit later when this maniac Pope and the Jesuits forced it upon the cardinals, or they'd be killed. Then they decided, yes, that's a good one. People will start believing that we're God on earth if we tell them. That's the biggest BS story I've ever heard. And that's why they are the ones we should be laughing at, because this story of COVID virus is a pretty big one, but it doesn't match that one. That's the biggest BS story. And I've got more BS stories to tell you in the next half hour here on the Investigatore Journale.
The book of Revelation says, the spirit of prophecy is the testimony of Jesus Christ. This is at the very heart of FirstAmendmentRadio.com. In that spirit, we have created the Prophecy Reality News app. for all of your mobile devices. Streaming First Amendment Radio 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Available for your Apple, Android device, and smartphone absolutely free. Get the Prophecy Reality News app installed today so you can listen to First Amendment Radio wherever you are. The Prophecy Reality News app. Get it now.
Visit crosstheborder.org, CROSS, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of Nicholas Arthur's new book titled When the Third Temple is Built. That's crosstheborder.org. When it comes to prophecy today, much of the evangelical Christian world has their eyes on Israel, waiting and watching to see when the third temple will begin to be built. The plans are drawn, the Jewish people are eager. Most evangelical Christians today believe that the rapture will happen before the third temple is built. Hi, I'm Michael Eugene. I was taught that Daniel's 70th week was in the future. Is that really what the Bible teaches? Have we searched the scriptures and found this to be true? Why is it so important for a re-established Israel to build a third temple in Jerusalem? Is it necessary to build a temple on the same location already occupied by the Dome of the Rock? Is it necessary for sacrifices to take place in the temple on Temple Mount? Is there really a rapture followed by 7 years of tribulation? What is the New Testament temple? Can we identify history and prophecy? Who is the first beast in Revelation chapter 13? Who are the 7 kings in Revelation 17? I have asked all these questions, and I have found Nicholas Arthur's new book, When the Third Temple is Built, answers all these questions and more using Scripture to interpret Scripture. The Bible says that no prophecy of Scripture is of any private interpretation. Nicholas shows us in his new book, When the Third Temple is Built, how the Bible interprets prophecy and not man's private interpretation. Visit crosstheborder.org, CROSS, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of Nicholas Arthur's new book titled When the Third Temple is Built. That's crosstheborder.org.
The following program is labeled dangerous and off limits by the supreme Jesuit command. But stand tall, people. Listen up, and you may just learn something.
Oh, dear Lord Jesus, this ain't happening, man. This can't be happening, man. This isn't happening.
Okay, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, people of all races, colors, and creeds, yes, if you think you're a boy one day, a girl the next, nobody's talking about this stuff anymore. Or if you think you can go into any bathroom you want, any day of the week, forget about it. You can't listen to the show. Nobody talks about anything anymore. Greg Anthony here on The Greatest Show on Earth. This show is better than getting stuck in the eye with a sharp stick. Yes, better than walking on hot coals. And it's also better than after 999 days, and turn that around to 666 days. You've been told now they're going to put you through tracking, tracing, and whatever, and they're hiring people all over the country. Yes, it's better. This show's better than that. Then they have to put up with this. And it's better than going to the side of a cliff and saying, if this goes on one more day, I'm throwing myself over. Yes, Greg Anthony here, and I thought about that. I'm standing on the side of a cliff the other day, and people say, well, you were in Kansas. How did that happen? I'm just making, an analogy. And I just sat there and I looked at the water and I said, man, I can't even scuba dive anymore. I don't want to live. Why are they telling me I can't scuba dive? If my dog can have more rights than me, he can go out, still poop anywhere he wants and not get thrown in jail. He can go pee on a tree. He can go and sit anywhere he wants and bark at the moon outside, and nobody's going to say anything. So dress yourself up like one of our great show business people. Yes. Jason Alexander, yes, of the Seinfeld, was seen, because he's a little guy, and he's kind of pudgy, yes, and he was seen dressed up in a bulldog suit, walking down Hollywood Boulevard, barking at the moon. That's how crazy everybody's getting, and you think I'm crazy. You want to see what some of these Hollywood actors are doing. They can't take being away from the limelight, I know that even some of our, more calm actors like Clint Eastwood, he's going through some trouble, I hear, for being associated with a guy named Dr. Oz. Is that the Wizard of Oz? But anyway, these actors, there's a couple of them that what they're doing, they called a friend of mine who's a lighting man. You know, he works on lights. They said, bring over all your lights. They said, why? We can't. Oh, we can get you in. Don't worry. Just tell the police you're coming over to Tom Cruise's house. Tom's a little upset. He's supposed to be leaving for Italy for the new Mission Impossible movie. And knowing that he might not do it, he's been seen jumping all over Hollywood from building to building to building, pretending he's in the movie. Tom, get a stuntman. You know, you're worth a lot of money. So anyway, he called up my friends who are lighting guys, and he said, bring over all your lights. I got to act like I'm on stage. I can't take it anymore. That's what's happening. These poor people, I feel so sorry for them. You know. Oh, Lord, the psychological effects going on. Now they're writing about that. You know, these psychiatrists are weighing in. You know, why don't people, how much are you going to pay them? I've got a psychiatrist that works, he barters. Yes. I gave him an old shoe that I got from Mickey Mantle, and it's good for 10 visits. It's a pair of spikes from Mickey Mantle. Mickey used to tip a glass here and there. I love Mickey, great ball player. Hell, let him drink. But Mickey was a little drunk one night, and he left his shoes he forgot to take off. He got drunk, I guess, in the locker room, forgot to take his spikes off, went into a bar. My uncle, who happened to be there, he was watching spring training in Arizona, and Mickey gave him his spikes, and then my uncle passed them down to me, and then I passed one of them over to my psychiatrist, who's giving me 10 free visits. So I still got one right shoe of Mickey Mantle on my mantle in my Mickey room. No, but anyway, Mickey Mouse is not there. Don't worry about Mickey. They've been reporting his birthday for I don't know how many years, and I've been wishing that little mouse would die. You know, now's the perfect time. COVID virus gets Mickey Mouse, you know. He's a make-believe rodent, and we're honoring his birthday. I mean, that's why America's in trouble. You know, hell with the COVID virus and everything. You know, that's too much for people to grasp. I mean, they're just worried about Mickey Mouse's birthday. And these talking heads on TV, I'm telling you something. When you look at pictures now of these people, you got them talking with how come they don't put on their mask when they do their show? And we know that masks are going to get you sicker. And they're even wearing them I was looking at Nancy Pelosi with her mask on. A little lower. You know, this has got to be the craziest thing in the world, but we know that. So anyway, I was standing on a cliff, which actually was a hayloft. And if you know anything about haylofts, there's open big doors where they throw the hay out. So I'm standing there going, I can't take it anymore. I want to jump into that manure spreader again. Build up my immune system. It's been years. Because your immune system, or whatever, some people say, well, you don't have one. Well, I don't care if you have one or you don't have one. You're going to get sicker if you don't get out, get in some fresh air. I used to love diving in the salt water. It revitalizes your body. You feel like a man again. You know, I never had one day where I felt like a woman. I don't know how that is. I'd have to talk to somebody. I don't want to feel like a woman. I mean, a woman, you shouldn't want to feel like a man either. I mean, both are messed up. But anyway, and I don't know why women want to be men. The men's bodies are more like monkeys, more workhorses. They're not beautiful. Women have beautiful bodies. I mean, they should love that. I mean, that's why men love women. They love looking at these beautiful bodies. How can a man like to look at his own man's body? I never understood that. But anyway, that's me. And call me old-fashioned. Call me what you want. Call me insane. Everybody is now. And I tried to... somebody mentioned that on one of their comments. They're not man enough. Nobody calls anybody anymore. Call me. How do you know I'm insane unless you talk to me? You'll have to talk to me for at least 3 minutes, and then you'll realize, yes, he is. But the point is that insanity is really a common thread right now for many people. We have a number of things in common now. We're all going insane by sitting at home listening to this garbage. And secondly, we're all going to die. But we all know now we're going to die from the coronavirus, which takes the fun out of living, right? Because I used to have fun. Wake up one day. What would I rather die of today? You know? Would I rather get hit by a train? Or maybe should I throw myself off the Empire State Building? Or perhaps I should just let the natural events of the world play out and take me the way God intended. How did he intend? Does he, I could have been in the Vietnam War, but I wasn't. That would have been a way to go. Many did. That would have been at the hands, the blood is on the hands of the Jesuit Vatican-led New World Order, and especially all those Buddhists they killed, because they knew they're not going to follow the Pope. What do you think they took over Tibet for? Use the Chinese. Now I'm getting serious. My psychiatrist said, as I told him that I was standing on this manure spreader, ready to kill myself, jump off into this, from the hayloft into the manure spreader. And he said, yes, you got that syndrome. Many people are feeling that way. Suicides are up. Think of something good. You gotta lift yourself, your spirits up. Don't make that final step. And I said, don't worry about it, Doc. And he said, why? He said, let me give you some advice. People who talk about suicide never do it. So that's why I do it. I talk about it. Because I know I won't do it. Worry about me when I stop talking about it. When you get really silent and you walk around like you're a serial killer, Then people start jumping off buildings. People start doing walking in front of cars. They allow a stampede of bulls to run them over in Spain. Things like that. But anyway, I got to get to the point here because it's Friday. I won't be able to talk to you for 2 days, and people are going, Harry, he's off for 2 days. Fantastic. We don't have to listen to this garbage. Martha, would you rather listen to Sean Hannity or that Cuomo guy on CNN, or would you rather turn on the channel news on CBS and listen to them put their crisis actors out there and tell us that there's lines? CBS, got caught the other day with a fake news release. They do it. They get caught all the time of a lot of people standing in line getting testing. There were no people there. They have to make this stuff up. And that's just how they've made up all these deaths. The other day it said, I read an article, about 2,000 people are dying a day in America from COVID virus. I said, they could probably take 18, 19, maybe even 2,000 out of the 7,500 that normally die every day. That's normal before this. And they can just incorporate those numbers. And there's one of Slats' guard dogs going absolutely crazy. Yeah, I'm here at the Coliseum, and the number of these guard dogs I was worried that they were attacking me or going to abduct me again, but it's clear. So anyway, I better do this. I only have 14 minutes before, the weekend, and I want you to have a really nice weekend. Try to break some laws. That's what and I'm not going to get arrested for saying that because the laws I'm breaking aren't ever enforced. Some of the things I used to do to spend my day would be to go from state to state looking for the craziest law. I found one in Connecticut that was probably the most interesting one I had ever seen. And that was, there's still a law in the books, if you sell pickles, before you can sell a pickle and not get fined or sent to jail, you got to bounce it off the cement, and if it doesn't bounce up at least a foot, it's not a good pickle. I'm thinking to myself, do they wash that pickle after that? Now, forget about it. Everything's wrapped. They got more plastic. What's happening here? Look at these globalist hypocrites. They've been screaming every day, take away plastic straws, take away plastic this, plastic that. Plastic is going to kill the world. Now everything's wrapped in plastic. You can't even get anything. You can't go to a buffet anymore. This is ridiculous. But anyway, I better tell you this. Slats Grobnik has really come up with the idea of the second revolution because of what's happening. It's finally, reaching a boiling point. And I've known Slats for 25 years, as I said yesterday, and he's been through it all. And once you've been through all of this, you realize what these people are doing, and you have a way of saying, okay, enough is enough. And that enough never was enough until they stopped baseball. So that really got Slats upset. And his slogan is, give me baseball or give me death. And so now I'm in the Coliseum after being abducted for being his Sean Hannity, like Hannity is to the president. And I've been basically put over the coals through this. Now I'm stuck in the Coliseum waiting for him, but I've got a message back from him. I sent Molly out the other day. She's here snacking on she likes Doritos. And I've got an article that I wrote to chronicle this. See, what I'm doing is, for posterity, I'm writing all this down, just like King Alfred did for the first time during the 1800s. He was writing everything down that he did, right, so that we know about it. So I want people 200 years from now to know how the revolution and how the world changed when Slats Grobnik got involved. So I wrote down Part 9 of General Slats Grobnik's Second American Revolution, Part 9. And the headline is, My Eyes Were Closing, right? The blackness, the blood, little children sacrificed on the altar. Every time this comes back, my mind is twisted like somebody is tightening a vice to my head. By Greg Anthony. I want that written down. And they're going, you know what they're going to think? Oh, it's that basketball player from Las Vegas, you. Right, I get that all the time. I say, no, I'm not the basketball player. I wish I was. He's got a lot more money. And he's a nice guy. I've listened to him. Nothing against Greg Anthony. Me too. The message came special delivery, courtesy of Molly the Pigeon. How she got it out of her little claw, or was it a foot, and flicked it from her tiny beak into my hand was truly amazing. Who needs Amazon drones when there's Molly? Molly was my only means of communication from my location in the replica Roman Coliseum, hidden on a private property in Kansas cornfield. I'd been waiting here for more than a week for the return of General Slats Grobnik, the leader of the Second American Revolution. Molly insisted on some ice-cold water and chips to quench her thirst and appetite after her long journey. She pointed to the Doritos and remember I mentioned the Doritos? She pointed to those Doritos, and I obliged, thinking she is quite a particular bird, but deserved it and more. As I readied the blue lamp and the special magnifying reading glasses in order to read the coded message from the general, my mind wandered off to some deep and dark place yet to be identified by any living man. It had been an exhausting month. Lucky to be alive was the first thing that popped into my mind. Abducted by the cartel, interrogated, and then a harrowing escape, all for just writing about the Second American Revolution and the COVID-19 Jesuit hoax. Don't you, I'm adding this. Don't you think that's a bit harsh? But it's only the beginning, folks. But I'd been in tougher spots. Thinking back to the time I was trapped in the Vatican catacombs. Ooh, that's scary. When I was trying to get pictures of a tip I got from an informant about the child sacrificing and going on there and satanic ceremonies in the bowels of the Vatican. The informant said they took place once a month on a Wednesday night after the Pope's speech, after they got done playing pinochle, from the window overlooking the multitude gathered in Vatican Square. They were playing Scopa. It's an Italian game. I got out of the catacombs mess after I knocked out a Swiss guard with a left hook, walking right out of the place with a big spear in my hand undetected. My eyes were closing, the blackness, the blood, little children sacrificed on the altar. Every time, folks, this comes back, my mind, it's like twisted, like somebody is tightening it with a vice. Oh, it hurts. It's hard to imagine the order, as they're called, could be involved in such abominations, but they are, and we have to live with it, but thinking about it is the hardest part. Molly must have sensed my pain, jumping on my shoulder quickly and whispering in my ear, Read the damn note. I flew a long way. It's from Slats, and it's important stuff. Now the secret's out. Pigeons do talk in Kansas if you listen hard enough. Clearing my mind and taking Molly's thoughtful advice, I carefully opened the message from General Grobnik. I was hoping to meet him today, but this would have to do. Dear Greg, by the time you read this, I will be undercover, dressed in black as a Jesuit inside the belly of the beast at Georgetown U. As we know, the enemy has locked down the nation with a phony invisible enemy. They must be stopped. I received your message about your free at last dream and the Jesuit curse placed on this beautiful land. You are quite correct in all your assumptions, and we are of like mind in looking for the way to once and for all break this curse. Do you remember, Greg, the classic movie Bell, Book, and Candle starring film great Jack Lemmon? I hope that's the correct spelling, and for the life of me, I can't remember the female actress, the star, but I think it was Kim Novak. Yeah, I think it was, Slats. To make a long story short, we need a number of special items to put in a special concoction in order to have a chance to break this curse. It's a powerful whopper of a curse, but it can be done if we act quickly and smartly. Our first stop is Georgetown. After conferring with several curse breakers in New Orleans, we need a number of things from Georgetown, which, after collecting, must be placed in a hermetically sealed bag. Referring to the curse breaker's instructions, which, by the way, I paid a handsome sum for, there are 4 destinations we have to go to in order to collect each and every item. It's getting scary. I will handle getting the needed items here at Georgetown, one being a lock of hair of Father Luigi Francone, the director of this COVID-19 TV reality show. They are putting on every day to huge ratings. There are too many others to go into now, but I expect it should take a week or so, maybe even sooner. If they should catch me and slice my head off, I have left instructions with Molly on how you are to proceed. I think by now you realize Molly speaks, but just in case, ask her. However, I am confident I will get in and out of this place without being identified as the leader of the Second American Revolution. One last thing. Our second stop after Georgetown is the Vatican, as well as Jesuit headquarters at Borgo Santo Spirito Cinque in Rome. I will need your help on this one, since you lived there for 7 years. Be of good mind and spirits, as I know if we act quickly and follow these specific curse-breaking directions, we can break this evil Jesuit curse. Once I finish collecting the necessary items from Georgetown, your flight instructions to Rome will be given to you, and we will meet there in Rome at a designated location. When you finish reading, send Molly back to Georgetown and have her meet me by the big statue of Albert Pike. She will know where it is, as she needs to bring back some important items necessary to break the curse. Wow, I guess those are the items he's collecting in that hermetically sealed bag. Then he ended saying, "Give me baseball or give me death. Signed, Slats Grobnik." Molly heard every word of me reading out loud and was already off, flying east over another cornfield, heading to the enemy's stronghold at Georgetown U. All of this was happening so fast. It was too much for me to grasp. 2 months ago, America was normal. Now, the Great Depression was looming. People are trying to kill themselves. I'm thinking of jumping off a cliff. A dictatorship and World War III on the horizon. More pandemics. A Jesuit curse to be broken. All of this in the hands of 2 crazy Chicagoans of Polish descent? Well, my grandmother hated Hitler and Russia, refused to watch Khrushchev on TV, so I guess it was right that we do the job, if not for the American people, but for the little-needed revenge and to show the Jesuits they weren't getting off scot-free for all those Polish jokes. Can't think one more second about all this stuff, so I turned on a rerun of an old Cubs doubleheader when Ernie Banks played. Remember Ernie? Played too? I put a 6-pack of Old Style on ice and vowed to drink a beer an inning, just like I did when I was a kid sitting in the right field bleachers at Wrigley. What a thought. Baseball again. No COVID insanity. A cold Old Style freezing my hand. It wasn't Wrigley, only a rerun, but when Ernie hit one onto Waveland Avenue, And Jack Brickhouse, the announcer, shouted, "Hey, hey, hey!" I chugged that first beer down so fast. It was just like the old days, just like the old days with the boys, just like the old days when fans actually could go to a ball game. Hey, folks, catch part 10 of General Slats Grobnik's Second American Revolution as Greg just waits for Slats to grab some necessary items from Georgetown U to break this curse on America. Things have changed, and then I'll be off to meet Slats in Rome. Hey, that's going to be good. I haven't been there in a long time. Leaving from his location at the Replica Coliseum, headquarters for the freedom fighters trying to rescue America from this enemy within, an enemy bent on turning the world into one world order hellhole. Catch all Greg's radio shows and stories at greganthonysjournal.wordpress.com. Wow, I enjoy writing for you people. I really do. I hope you appreciate it. You don't have to, but I like when people read to me. I only have a minute. Then we have a whole weekend to enjoy ourselves, right? Go to the beach, go swimming, go scuba diving, maybe jump out of an airplane in a parachute. Can you do that these days? I don't know. But these politicians, they can do what they want. They're running around the Capitol building going, "Put your mask on, Donald." How come he doesn't wear one? Oh, he's the king. He doesn't have to. He won't catch anything. No, you know why? Because they told him he was going to be this actor president 10, 15 years ago. He's been preparing for it ever since. That's how he's spending his old age. Give him a break. It's a good show. Watch it. And there'll be more. I'm sure they're even putting shows on for the weekend for you to see where it's going. But anyway, folks, glad you could join us just for a few minutes of COVID virus insanity. And to get it all off your chest and have a good time. Why not? There's got to be one show like that around. There's no comedy clubs. I mean, we got to do it online. Okay, folks, back Monday on the Investigatore Giornale.
The book of Revelation says, "The spirit of prophecy is the testimony of Jesus Christ." This is at the very heart of FirstAmendmentRadio.com. In that spirit, we have created the Prophecy Reality News app for all of your mobile devices, streaming First Amendment Radio 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Available for your Apple, Android device, and smartphone, absolutely free. Get the Prophecy Reality News app installed today so you can listen to First Amendment Radio wherever you are. The Prophecy.
Since the beginning of time, kings have sought it, nations have fought for it. It has been traded, it has been borrowed, it has been purchased, it has been stolen. There's a reason for it. To secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and to our posterity. Invest with the security of gold and silver. Call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188 or visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net. Listen to Financial Survival with your host Melody Cedarstrom right here on FirstAmendmentRadio.com at 4 p.m. Eastern or 1 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net or call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188. Toll free 1-800-375-4188.